So I landed around the end of January, touched down in Honolulu, and then I had to like frantically try to run to catch the next flight into a different building, almost like a different airport, but the same airport, but just specifically for flights between the islands. So I made it just on time. Almost didn't get let in actually because of customs. It's not the first time. They always think I'm trying to illegally move to the United States. Guess I just give off that vibe. But about half an hour later, talking with the customs woman, going through all my bags, I did eventually get let in. So, made it. So when I got into Hilo on the Big Island, I initially went to a farm to do work trading. Kind of like I would work a few hours of the day in exchange for meals and accommodation. The more I work, the more I get provided for. Kind of set up like that. But as I've learned through talking with other people, it's all too common that this happens. It wasn't a good environment. I ended up getting overworked, undercompensated, and finally what broke it, sexually harassed by the host I was staying with. So one morning I just packed up all my bags and left. I just came downstairs, told them like, hey, I'm out, I'm leaving. So I hitchhiked through the jungle in the middle of a rainstorm, like knee-deep puddles, with practically everything I own on my back, and also a recent stock up of groceries. But 2 rides and hours of walking, and eventually a broken backpack later, I made it into Hilo. Hilo can be a bit rough. Beautiful, an adventure, but a bit edgy. So the hostel I was staying at sees many backpackers for short stints, but also a good bit of people that seem to live here, like months at a time. So it creates this unique atmosphere, more like a home than just a hostel, more of a community than just transients. It's a town right by the coast, lined with rocky shores, a few beaches. It's got a lot of character and real people. Not so tourist crowd, but more local crowd. Also waterfalls, caves, and so much jungle. The buses here on the island are free. Unreliable at times, but when they do show up, and they usually do, you can get all around the island. So I went to Kona. Far on the west side, they call it the desert side or the dry, sunny side. It rains every day, pretty much, in winter in Hilo. But it's not so much a desert over in Kona. There's still palm trees, grasses, beautiful beaches, and when I was there, a massive storm that partially shut down the island for days. They call it a Kona low storm. But it affects the whole island, not just Kona. Kona was maybe the least affected, just some rainy days that forced the hostels to become little nests. People came together, we drank wine, we talked for hours. When the sun did come out, everybody would be at the coast. Like, I went down to the rocks and like half the hostels down at the coast, enjoying the like half an hour of dryness that we got over those few days. Everybody just really slowed down. The rest of the island flooded, buses shut down all across the island. So I guess Kona is the dry side. Outside the rain, Kona was a pretty lively hub. Had a lot of people, a lot of tourists, first-time backpackers, people from all over the world, all just there for a little slice of paradise. One day I walked about 10 hours, 42-kilometer round trip, just to get to this beach past the airport. Later I found out there was transit that would have taken me a good amount of the way, but just the walk in itself was an adventure, and it was so worth it. Being at this beach, it really felt like being on a volcano in the middle of the ocean, which, is where we are. But yeah, so the walk, even walking over lava fields with planes, the airport's right beside it, so planes flying not that far above my head. It was funny because you would hear the sound of the planes coming in, and then about 10 seconds later it would sound like thunder or like big metal sheets like waving in the wind. I don't know how to explain that, but something about the planes. Every plane that flew over, about 10 seconds after, you'd get this. It was strange, it was weird, it was cool. It really felt like a special place to be. I could have easily hitchhiked back into Kona, but I wanted to walk. That walk was amazing, just on its own. But after about a week in Kona, I got the bus over to a place called Volcano Village, I guess. So from Kona, it should be about a 3-hour drive, but it became an all-day ordeal with the bus system. Totally free, and I made it, but it took a while longer than driving would have, that's for sure. But Volcano feels like a different world over there. A truly jungle rainforest. It feels like being in the clouds. Like, it's always at least misting, if not raining, at least this time of the year. And it's isolated, remote. Even for an island in the middle of the ocean, it feels remote. It's quiet there. There's almost no street lights. There's cars all the time driving into the park. But it feels like there's almost no one living out there. And the people at the hostel, unique, open-minded travelers who aren't scared of foreign places. Not quite like other hubs on the island. Different crowd, different people. So, every day I would wake up around 3 a.m., eat some food quick, usually prepare it the night before, and then I would hike for hours into the park, out to these viewpoints, to be able to see Kilauea, the active volcano, to watch it glow in the dark. And it was usually pouring rain, but some mornings it wasn't. And with no streetlights, it was some of the best stars I've ever seen. But even when it was wet and cold, hiking through a pitch black jungle with a red glow in the distance, it's an adventure all on its own. Being wet and cold with swollen feet, it was worth it every day. Every day I would wake up and do this. It was so worth it. And of course, there was hours more hiking around the craters once the sun came up. So after some time in Volcano, I got a car and I just camped around the island. And, this was like seeing the island in a whole new way. The North Shore is so different from the South, so different from the East and the West. Black sand beaches, a green sand beach, one of only 4 in the world. Deserts, jungles, going from beaches to summits, like people snowboarding summits. Green covered cliffs that just drop into valleys and just right into the ocean. Glowing lava to the biggest waves I've ever seen. Beach campgrounds where dolphins and whales would just jump out of the water all morning. People with massive photography cameras going there every morning just to capture this. And with the car, it brought the chance to summit the biggest mountain in the world. It might not be as high up as Everest because it starts way below the ocean. But biggest mountain in the world. And you still have to acclimate, or altitude sickness can really get to you. Even after acclimating, just walking around up there, it felt like effort. And I don't know if anyone up there didn't feel a little bit lightheaded and out of breath. To be fair, they only really enforce half an hour of acclimation at the visitor center, and I don't even know if everybody does that. But going from sleeping beside the ocean to a snow-capped summit, definitely felt it. I'll forever be grateful to the 2 guys who took me hitchhiking up to the summit, and we watched the sunset from above the clouds, and then drove down one of the sketchiest roads I've ever been on in my life, while the stars and the planets started popping out and lighting up the sky. And finally, after driving the entire perimeter of the island, going to a barbecue that was hosted by a very active and very inclusive gay community on the island. From there to sleeping beside the volcano and watching the sun rise from the cliffs of a lava field hitting the ocean. It was finally time to chill out at the black sand, nude beach all day until eventually returning the car. And the end of that finally brought the time to start winding down before taking off to the next leg of this journey. So, back in Hilo, the same hostel I started in, the same bunk, the same bed that I started in. Just about 4 days left here. Night market, trivia night at the brewery. Some nice ways to end it, some nice ways to say goodbye. After all this, like, might not have been the easiest place to backpack. Definitely did not go as planned. But, I couldn't be more grateful that it rolled out how it did. And what a trip it's been.